Welcome back to Axis Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough review of Magi episode 25. Now, if you remember from last episode, we get to see Sinbad's 8 generals on Syndra take on the organization, and that was the build-up. I love it, and it appears like they're winning at first. It did look like they were losing. They were on the ropes, but guess what? The 8 generals, they're doing pretty damn good right now. Now, we haven't seen all of them fight, of course, just a couple of them. But still, it looks like they're winning. Now, moving on past that, we're taking to a little cutscene back in the dungeon with Izak. And Izak, he's been defeated. Yeah, the creepy knight that belongs to Donya has been defeated. Oh no, ladies and gentlemen, it gets better. Donya has been killed or wounded by Iznan. So, Donya's own partner, or should I say another person she worked with, has turned on her. He's going back on his deal. Iznan is going back on his deal. Son of a bitch. Well, Donya, you should pick your allies a little more carefully. Just putting that out there. Then moving on past that, we're taking to a little cutscene with Alibaba, and he's having a mental breakdown, if that makes any sense. And he does take out Iznan, because Iznan is sitting there. He's like, come on, Alibaba, take me out, man. And Alibaba takes out Iznan. But that was part of Iznan's plan, because guess what? It turns Alibaba into a Black King. That's right, Alibaba is falling into depravity, and he becomes, Dark Dajin. Does not look good for Alibaba, but again, that's where the episode ends, and I'll hold my final thought and rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right on in. So we open up this episode with Alibaba, and again, he's being possessed by the Dark Dajin, because he's now a Black King. So he's now after Aladdin. Yeah, not looking good for Aladdin. But for Alibaba being a Black King, I don't know. Black King's got a good sound to it. Falling into depravity, not so much, to each their own, of course. Now we're taking a little cutscene with Morgana, and Morgana has now joined the fight, so she's a little more healed up, so Morgana's back in the fight, and she wants to bring Alibaba back from depravity, if that makes any sense. And yes, Morgana is pissed. Now moving on past that, we're back on Syndra, and guess what? The Dark Mass is now closing in on Syndra. Yeah, that dark mass which was in the water, it's now trying to consume the island, and nothing is stopping it. And guess what? Ymera, yeah, she's one of Sinbad's 8 generals. Ymera is now under attack by that old man in the wheelchair. Again, it gets even more intense. Now, the troops that are on Syndra right now are being told to retreat. So all those troops you saw, all those guys, shooting arrows and whatnot at the Black Mass, and I guess some of the organization, which they really weren't doing shit, are now being told to retreat. Which I'm like, okay, you shouldn't even be attacking to begin with, because you don't have any magical abilities. But you know what? Sinbad had his reasons for summoning them, of course. Now Sinbad is now aware of Iznan's true goal. So now Sinbad, he knows what Iznan was truly up to. I'm like, okay, that's about time you knew what he was up to. Apparently, the attack on Syndra was just a decoy. No shit, really? Now, moving on past that, we find out the princess, which is in love with Sinbad, of course. The princess now jumps in and wants to help Sinbad in general with his little problem with the organization, since he is cursed after all. Or so we think. I'll get to that later on, trust me. Now, moving on past that, we're taking to a little cutscene back in the dungeon with, guess what? Morgana versus Alibaba? Really? Morgana versus Alibaba. Does it get any better than this? Yeah, I guess it does, because Alibaba was trying to tell Morgana to surrender. Alibaba was trying to actually talk to Morgana, tell her to surrender. Yeah, that's not going to happen. No way in hell. Are you freaking kidding me? You can tell her all you want. No, this is Morgana. She fights. She doesn't talk. That's how it is. And guess what? Morgana gets tossed around by Alibaba. Go figure, right? Yeah, and guess what? The prince, he's sitting back, he's watching all of this. He has his one arm, that's all he's got left. He calls Zoggin, which is the Dajin of the dungeon, to help him. Really? And guess what? The Dajin does appear and backs up the prince, gives him his arm back. Well, a new arm per se. So now the prince has his arm back, and he has a Dajin, which apparently belongs to him now, or at least that's what it looks like. And he's ready to jump in on the fight. What the fuck? That just wrecked it for me. I don't even want to see this prince with the Dajin. He doesn't even look that cool anymore. I only like the scars on his face. That's about it. But sorry, I digress. Moving on past that, we see Morgana. Guess what? Morgana is attacking Alibaba, and who the hell cares? I mean, we already know what she's capable of doing. But again, Morgana, she's now attacking Alibaba. And guess what? The prince, yeah, he distracts Alibaba as well and joins the fight. So now the prince as well as Morgana are both fighting Alibaba. I'm like, okay, it's about time. Aladdin, where you at? Just putting that out there. Now Morgana, she gets a direct hit on Alibaba. And now it's Aladdin's turn. Now we are taken back to Syndra, of course, with Ymera. Now Ymera is heavily being attacked by the old man, which is part of the organization, and she's being stripped by each one of his attacks. So it's getting kind of hot there. You know what I'm talking about. It was a great scene, but still, Ymera looked like she was getting the shit knocked out of her. And I felt little like she was helpless right now. I mean, she really wasn't doing anything. But again, Ymera is pissed about the old man. She's very pissed at him in general. And she uses her extreme spell. Well, I should say, it's called the extreme spell Flash Alarf, which I definitely thought that was worth mentioning. I forget if she was the one that used it or if he was the one that used it. But I do remember hearing the words extreme spell Flash of Alarf. And it was aimed at Ymera. So I believe that's what the old man was using. But again, whatever the attack was being used by either one of them, we do see Ymera, and she's being attacked in general, and she's using whatever the attack the old man was using, which is part of the organization, to reflect his power and aim it on the black mass, which is about to consume the island, which I thought, wow, that's pretty freaking amazing. Because I know this old man got really pissed off, and he's using all of his power at Ymera, throws it at her, and she's reflecting it, and she's attacking the black mass, and I'm like, wow. I did not see that coming at all. And then we see Spardos, which is one of Sinbad's 8 generals, kill the old man, which is in the wheelchair, with a spear through the chest. So Spardos for the win. I loved it. It was graphical. You caught the old man off guard. I thought Ymera was going to be the one to kill him. No, Spardos. He kills the old man in the wheelchair. And yes, I know that sounds wrong, but it's an amazing scene. It's an amazing scene. Watch it. I loved it. Now, moving on past that, we're taken back to the princess, who is in love with Sinbad, if you didn't know this already. And she jumps in, and she helps save Syndra in general. So Syndra has also been saved by the princess, which is part of the Ku Empire. Weird how that works out, right? Yeah. Now, Sinbad, he points out it's still not over. Yeah, of course, Sinbad, you're going to say that. It's still not over. Well, the organization that was on Syndra was a decoy, so of course it's not over. So we're taking to a little cutscene back in the dungeon with Aladdin. Apparently, Aladdin is now looking for Alibaba. Like, okay. Apparently, Alibaba is no longer in his Dajin form, per se. You know, well, he kind of is not. You know, the Depravity is getting a little weaker because Alibaba, he's starting to listen to Aladdin, or at least have his moment, if that makes any sense. Now, anyways, it's pushed by Chasm's spirit. So apparently, I'll point this out one more time, Aladdin's now being pushed by Chasm's spirit to find out the right direction to where Alibaba is at. I'm like, okay, so Chasm's jumping in. Dude, just die. You're dead. We don't want to see you anymore. You're dead. You're dead. You're done. But of course, he needed to be in this episode, so there you go. Now, Alibaba says he has made a lot of mistakes. So this is Alibaba, and he's basically telling, I guess, Aladdin in general, I've made a lot of mistakes. And Aladdin's trying to calm Alibaba down. And I'm like, okay, they're good friends. That makes sense. Where are you going with this? So Alibaba is now saved. So the fight has been averted. What the fuck? I wanted to see a fight. No. So apparently, Aladdin did get through to Alibaba thanks to Chasm, as well as because of his own uniqueness of being able to talk people down from stuff. So that was definitely worth mentioning, and yet saddening at the same time. I wanted to see a fight. Now, Isnan has escaped. So after Isnan had failed to turn, Alibaba into a black king, he escapes, and he just gives up and he leaves. He runs away. So we're taking to a little cutscene with Sinbad. Guess what? Sinbad appears right in front of Isnan. So we get to see Sinbad versus Isnan. And guess what? The truth about Sinbad leaks right out to Isnan in general. Apparently, even though Sinbad had a curse mark from Isnan, he had a previous curse mark on him that made him half into depravity. So Sinbad was already into depravity. Half of himself was already a dark side. Like, he used a curse in his favor to outdo whatever Isnan did to him, if that makes any sense. And I did not see that coming at all, but it looked an amazing scene, by the way. But moving on past that, we are taking a little cutscene with Sinbad. He uses Frozo Zora, and Isnan is now defeated. So not much of a fight scene, but again, Isnan has been defeated. So we're taken back to the dungeon with Isnan. So Isnan returns back to the dungeon, and although he's been defeated, he is not dead. He returns as what appears to be a cursed shadow, if that makes any sense. So Isnan is now a cursed shadow, and he's in front of Alibaba and Aladdin. So moving on past that, we're taking to a little cutscene with Aladdin, and Aladdin actually asks Isnan, why do you hurt the world? Why have you been hurting the world? What's the reason? And the only reason that Isnan can give Aladdin is to be free of destiny. So apparently we're taken to a little flashback with Isnan, apparently of his past mistakes he did, and during King Solomon's rule. So apparently at one point in time, Isnan was on King Solomon's side. That's what it appears to be. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what we see. So at one point in time, Isnan was a good guy. Hard to believe. Hard to believe. So we're taking to a little cutscene with Alibaba, and Alibaba does not kill Isnan. Yeah, Alibaba had a perfect opportunity to kill Isnan, but he doesn't. He doesn't want to hate anymore. This is Alibaba. He doesn't want to hate anymore, so he doesn't kill Isnan. And Isnan's mask falls off, and we get to see the real Isnan. He's kind of cool in a weird way. I mean, give him an eye patch, he may look a little cooler. I mean, that's just me. Now, Isnan returns to Solomon's side, which means, is he a good guy now? We don't really know, but again, it's been pointed out, Isnan has returned to Solomon's side, and he seems pissed about it. I love that. He seems pissed, but he's now on the good side. Okay. I'd be pissed too, because now I gotta follow the rules. Now we are taking to a little cutscene with Isaac, or Isaac, depending on how you want to pronounce that. It's Donya's knight. Yeah, Isaac has now returned in spirit form to Donya, and he's by Donya's side. And yes, Chasm's spirit has returned. Who the fuck cares? Now moving on past that, the dungeon ends. Yeah, the dungeon has now been completed. It's been looted, and the villagers have now been saved. They've been returned back to their homes, and generally that's where the episode ends, although we do see what appears to be new characters at the end of the episode, but you know, that's about it. But again, that's where the episode ends. As for my final thoughts, well, first of all, is Isnan now a good guy now that he's on Solomon's side? We really don't know, or really care for that matter. Moving on past that, what about Sinbad? Who gave him the second curse mark? Or should I say, who gave Sinbad the first curse mark that made him half into depravity? We really don't know anime-wise, and yet I've not read the manga to that extent where I can actually find out why he has that curse mark, but I can't wait to find out, to be honest. And one more final thought. The prince. Now that you have your own Dajin, or what it appears to be Zagen is now your Dajin, what's going to happen? Are you going to stay true and stay on the good side, on Alibaba's side, or are you going to betray them and go back to the Ku Empire? We really don't know. But again, that's the end of my final thoughts. Moving on to my rating, 4.5 out of 5 for this episode. I'm giving this a 4.5 out of 5 because I love the twists and turns. The fight scenes were almost all there, so I have to give points. And yeah, we got a little more new information about Sinbad at least, so that was definitely worth mentioning. But again, final rating, 4.5 out of 5. And that ends it for my walkthrough review of Magi episode 25. But definitely comment down below, let me know, thumbs up, thumbs down. Definitely subscribe, check me out on Twitter, and follow me if you like. Let me know what you thought of this episode, and let me know what you think's going to happen in the next episode that's coming out. But again, guys, that ends it for now, and I got to hit the brakes, and I got to go. And before I go, I got to say it, and I always say it. You can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.